Imagine this. You're standing in front of a mirror, looking at your belly button, and suddenly a question pops into your head. Why does it look the way it does? Is it because of how the doctor cut the umbilical cord when you were born? If you've ever thought that, don't worry, you're not alone. Many people believe that whether you have an innie or an outie is determined by the way your umbilical cord was cut and tied at birth. But that's actually a myth. The truth is, your belly button has nothing to do with how the doctor handled your umbilical cord. It all comes down to how your body naturally heals after birth. Let's break it down. Before you were born, your umbilical cord was like a lifeline, connecting you to your mother and supplying you with oxygen and nutrients to grow inside the womb. The moment you entered the world, the cord was no longer needed, so the doctor, or sometimes a parent, if they're up for the task, cut it a few inches away from your belly. But here's the key part. There's no special technique of tying or shaping it that determines what your belly button will look like. Instead, the remaining stump of the cord is clamped off and left to dry. Within about a week, it naturally shrivels up and falls off, leaving behind what we call the umbilicus, or belly button. The final shape, whether it turns into an innie or an outie, depends entirely on how your skin heals. Outies often form due to a mild umbilical hernia, where a tiny bit of tissue pushes outward as the area closes, or sometimes due to a slight infection during healing. But the majority of people, about 90%, end up with an innie simply because their skin pulls inward as it heals. So the next time someone mentions belly buttons, you'll know the real story behind these little marks of our early life. Belly buttons might seem like small, unimportant features on our bodies, but they actually hold some surprising secrets, especially when it comes to bacteria. In 2011, a group of researchers from North Carolina State University launched a unique scientific study called the Belly Button Diversity Project. Their goal? To find out what kind of bacteria live in our navels and whether these tiny ecosystems differ from the bacteria found on the rest of our bodies. The results were nothing short of fascinating. By analyzing samples from 60 volunteers using RNA sequencing, they discovered a staggering 2,368 different species of bacteria living inside belly buttons. To put that into perspective, North America has only half as many species of birds or ants. That means your navel could be more biologically diverse than an entire ecosystem. What's even more interesting is how unique each person's belly button microbiome turned out to be. While 8 dominant bacteria species made up about 45% of the total population, there was still incredible variation from person to person. No single bacteria species was found in every single belly button, and a whopping 2,188 of the species were only detected in 10% of the samples. In other words, each belly button seems to have its own microscopic fingerprint. But the most shocking discovery came from one individual who had not only a wide range of bacteria, but also 2 species of archaea, microorganisms typically found in extreme environments like deep-sea vents or hot springs. According to the researchers, this person admitted they hadn't showered or bathed in several years, which likely created the perfect conditions for these rare microbes to thrive. If someone were to ask you, what's behind your belly button, you might think it's a trick question. After all, isn't there just skin and muscle there? But the truth is, your belly button isn't just an external reminder of your time in the womb. Hidden inside your body are remnants of the internal structures that once connected you to your mother before you were born. These leftovers from your prenatal life might not be obvious, but they played a crucial role in keeping you alive and growing before birth. Think of your umbilical cord as a superhighway that carried everything you needed to develop inside the womb. It had 2 main components, an umbilical vein, which delivered oxygen and nutrient-rich blood from your mother, and 2 umbilical arteries, which carried waste products and carbon dioxide away from you so your mother's body could dispose of them. These blood vessels weren't just floating around, they were directly connected to your circulatory system, liver and bladder. When you were born, took your first breath, and the umbilical cord was cut, those internal blood vessels no longer had a job to do. Over time, they dried up and hardened into ligaments, which still exist inside your body today. anchored to the inside of your belly button. One of these ligaments actually divides your liver into two sections, while another stretches down into your pelvis, where some parts of it may still function near your bladder. In most cases, these leftover structures remain dormant, but in some babies, a vestigial artery that once connected the bladder to the navel doesn't close properly. When this happens, urine can actually leak out of the belly button. While it might sound alarming, it's a rare condition that can be easily fixed with a simple surgical procedure. So, even though you can't see it, your belly button is more than just a small mark on your skin. It's a gateway to the hidden remnants of your earliest connection to life. Belly button lint is one of those strange little things about the human body that many people experience but rarely talk about. It's a bit like earwax or toe jam. Mysterious, kind of gross, yet completely natural. But have you ever wondered where it actually comes from? Why do some people seem to collect lint in their navels, while others never find a single speck? In 2002, an Australian scientist and radio personality named Dr. Carl Kruszelnicki, also known as Dr. Carl, set out to solve this peculiar mystery. His goal? To understand what causes belly button lint and why some people seem to accumulate it more than others. Dr. Carl conducted an online survey asking nearly 4,800 participants about their belly button lint, what color it was, whether they had it at all, and details about their body type and skin. After analyzing the results, he found a clear pattern. Older, moderately overweight men with hairy stomachs were the most likely to have belly button lint. But why? The answer lies in the tiny fibers from clothing. When we move around, our shirts rub against the fine hairs on our stomachs, which act like little brushes pulling fibers from the fabric. Over time, these fibers get funneled downward into the belly button, where they collect as lint. It turns out that hair plays a huge role in this process. When some of the study's participants shaved the hair around their belly buttons, 40% of them noticed that their lint completely disappeared. Dr. Carl's research was so unique and amusing that it won him the 2002 Ig Nobel Prize, an award given to scientific discoveries that make people laugh first and then make them think. While belly button lint may not be the most groundbreaking topic in science, his work proved that even the smallest, quirkiest details of the human body can be fascinating. So the next time you find lint in your navel, just remember, it's not random, it's science at work. All placental mammals, including cats, dogs, and even beluga whales, have belly buttons. But while it's easy to spot on a human, it's much harder to see on most animals because their fur or skin texture often conceals it. What's even stranger, though, is that not all humans have visible belly buttons. While every baby is born with an umbilical cord, which should leave behind a belly button after it falls off, certain medical conditions or surgeries can result in a stomach that appears completely smooth, without the typical innie or outie we expect. A famous example is supermodel Karolina Kurkova. Unlike most people, she doesn't have a clearly defined belly button. While fashion magazines often edit one into her photos to prevent confusion, images from runway shows sometimes reveal just a faint indentation where a belly button would normally be. This is likely due to a medical condition she had at birth, such as an umbilical hernia or gastroschisis. Umbilical hernias occur when the belly button area doesn't close properly after birth, while gastroschisis is a more serious condition where a baby's intestines develop outside the abdominal wall. Both conditions require surgical correction, and while doctors can successfully repair them, the resulting scar may not form the typical belly button shape. Belly buttons can also disappear later in life due to cosmetic surgery. A tummy tuck or abdominoplasty tightens the abdominal area and can sometimes remove the section of skin where the belly button sits. Some people choose to have a new one surgically recreated, while others decide to embrace their smooth stomach, seeing it as a small trade-off for a flatter midsection. For a few, the idea of never having to deal with belly button lint again is an added bonus. While having no belly button is rare, it's entirely possible, proving that not every human carries this small reminder of their birth. If people say the eyes are the windows to the soul, then in modern medicine, the belly button has become a window to the gallbladder and much more. Thanks to advancements in minimally invasive surgery, doctors are now able to perform major procedures with little to no visible scarring by using the belly button as the primary entry point. This technique allows surgeons to access internal organs without the need for large traditional incisions, making surgery safer, faster, and less traumatic for the body. One of the most common methods used in these procedures is laparoscopic surgery. Instead of making a large cut to open the abdomen, surgeons create a small incision inside the belly button and insert a laparoscope, a long, thin instrument with a camera and light at the end. This tool allows doctors to see inside the body and guide their surgical instruments with precision. In most laparoscopic procedures, additional tiny incisions are made elsewhere in the abdomen to insert surgical tools for removing organs like the gallbladder or appendix. However, an even more advanced technique is gaining popularity: single-port laparoscopic surgery. In this approach, instead of making multiple small incisions, everything, both the camera and the flexible surgical instruments, is inserted through a single port in the belly button. This means there's only one small incision, which greatly reduces scarring, speeds up recovery, and lowers the risk of infection. Because the belly button naturally conceals scars, the results are nearly invisible. As this technique continues to improve, it's making surgery less invasive, reducing recovery time, and proving that the belly button isn't just a reminder of our birth, it can also be a gateway to better health. And that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you found this discussion interesting and thought-provoking. But remember, the conversation doesn't end here. It continues with you. If you enjoyed this video and want to keep exploring fascinating topics with us, make sure to subscribe to Wisdom TV. It only takes a second, but it makes a huge difference. By subscribing, you become part of a growing community that seeks wisdom, knowledge, and deeper understanding. And don't forget to hit the bell icon. That way you'll never miss an update. Every time we post a new video, YouTube will notify you instantly, so you're always in the loop with our latest content. We also want to hear your thoughts. The comments section is open for you to share your insights, opinions, and questions. What do you think about today's topic? Do you have any theories, experiences, or ideas to add? Drop a comment below. We read every single one, and your feedback helps shape future content on Wisdom TV. Thank you for watching, for being part of this journey, and for your continuous support. Stay curious, stay open-minded, and as always, keep seeking wisdom. Until next time, take care and see you in the next video.